there's this video that, but last night I watched different conversations that Sam George was having with Nanaba.
Yeah. That's right.
And he went to town on so many issues. You know, it was a very in-depth conversation.
Sure.
I actually enjoyed it. You know,
Sure.
his the frankness with which he spoke on things, and I liked the way he was very lucid in his thought process. You know, as it's explaining his position, very well thought through. You know, delivery. Now, on the entertainment side, he says some things.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He said some things. I think we should watch the video, and then when we come back, we'll do the analysis. Yeah.
Let's take a look at that. We'll take a look at that video, and we'll come back and continue.
Now, when you go to Nigeria, corporate Nigeria invests in the arts. Government is behind the arts. You don't see that in Ghana. It is just touch and go in Ghana. The government, successive governments, pretend to be interested in the arts.
You know why?
Culture. Why?
Because the people in the arts in this country are hypocrites.
How?
They are more political than the politicians. See, when a party comes to power and promises that it's going to do A, B, C for the creative arts, and on the basis of that, you see all the creative arts players rally behind that party, and 4 years into the government of that party, not even one theater has been built. They promised a theater in each region. Not one has been built. And when we ask questions in the lead up to the election, that what has been the track record of that government, you still have the same creative arts people come and defend it. Why? Because even though the theaters have not been built, maybe he's gotten some Zoom Lion, some cleaning contract here, or some supply contract here. He's comfortable in his own shoes. So it is because you don't have the creative art industry begin to hold governments to account. Because they are playing politics. This person wants to be the shining star, so that when they come, they'll make him minister for creative arts and culture, or deputy minister.
Are you referring to John Dumelo?
I'm referring to Makokreku Mante.
Okay.
Me Robia, the boarding.
I know. I know you're not. You
get
fearless.
it. So the point is, what has Mark done to hold Nanado, who he campaigned for in 2016, who promised to build theaters for the creative arts? What has been Mark's input? Right now that the theaters are, the cinemas are closed, and the creative arts cannot flourish, and they don't have any source of livelihood. What has Mark used his proximity to Nanado to do for the creative arts? We are not opening the cinemas, we are not opening the theaters, but churches are filling out the Fantasy Dome and doing programs there. We are having church services. So can't we also open the cinemas and do social distancing there and observe the protocols? You shut the cinemas, but Bloomberg is open. Go to Bloomberg now. It's open. It's working. It's open. Sandbox is open. But you have shut down the cinema. Before the cinemas were shut, you had the likes of Roverman Production, Uncle Lebo White, putting a lot of young people to work with his productions. You had Foster Romanos, Clemento Suarez, doing young boys finding a living in the cinemas. So if today you open the National Theatre and you say that we should skip 1 seat or 2 seats, can they not still sell tickets and at least make a living? You, Makoke Kumante, you've been appointed deputy minister. What did you do? What have you held Nanado to account on his promises? When you campaigned for him, have you held him to account? It's the same way I would have expected Sadiq to hold John Mahama to account here in Rexoma, because that is why you are from that stock. You don't expect me, Sam George, to come and be fighting for creative arts when you've been given, one of your own has been given an opportunity in there, but he's thinking about what he will get and not what you collectively will get. We should have seen Mark leading a charge by now as a member of the creative arts to say, Mr. President, open the cinemas and give us social distancing protocols. These young boys are dying. They are starving because their only source of livelihood and having a meal is if the cinemas are open. If we can open the market, if we can open Bloomberg and Sandbox and the churches and the mosque, and we cannot open the cinemas, what kind of country are we? This is the reality. So the problem is the creative arts themselves. When you get the chance and you shine small, you think about yourself. You forget.
Yeah, you heard it.
Charlie.
We don't like the truth being spoken as plainly and as clearly as that.
What's his moniker again? Jata, eh?
Jata.
Yama.
Jata is actually part of his name.
He's not Monica. He's Comfort.
Yeah. Okay, so guys,
Yeah.
any comments?
Kwame, you go first.
Okay, let me go first. I think I should commend him for talking about the cinemas. You know, it's been something that we've all spoken about all this while. And a few weeks ago, we heard the president say that the task force is reviewing the ban on cinemas. And so people in the industry have been talking about this. Now, I think that in as much as I find this interview and some judges' submissions very useful to the industry, I also think that there are certain parts or portions in there that did not really reflect the true situation. Now, if you say, the question that Nanaba asked was why government isn't giving attention when you go to Nigeria, corporate institutions and government invest in the arts. The government isn't investing much in the arts, not because the people are hypocritical.
No, but he's saying that you're not holding them to account.
I'm coming. Government is not investing in the arts, not because the people in the creative industry have their political biases.
Okay.
Just like any other profession where people have the right to belong to NDC or MPP, we have doctors who are in NDC or MPP who also get into politics. It is allowed. You can't say that the fact that a group of people are NDC or MPP in the creative industry, the government shouldn't invest in the arts. You can't have everybody be on the side of a particular political party. So when it says that the creative industry has not held the government accountable, it's not true. Now, prior to the election, we were all here. We heard how many people came on social media on various platforms talking about the government not delivering on his promises, theaters and the other things, copyright laws and all those things. So when he generalizes it that the creative art industry did not hold government accountable, it is not true. If you are talking about some people, if you're talking about Okreku Manti, fine. And you should understand that Okreku Manti at that time had government appointment. So if he should lead the charge, he can't lead it from outside. He can only lead from within. All he can do is maybe press on the powers that be to fix the situation. But Okreku cannot come out and maybe go sit on radio and say that, Nanado, open the cinemas. The best he can do is to use his internal structures to lobby. Now the question is, he says, what has Okreku done? Of course, we've not seen the cinemas open. We've not seen them open the cinemas. So even if he is pushing, we didn't know.
We don't have cinemas open. It's
exactly.
Like
but we shouldn't also dismiss the fact that maybe he's pushing, but the pushing is not pushing.
It's not pushing.
So my problem is that I like the fact that he is pressing on government to open the cinemas.
Okay.
He is asking people to love the arts more than they love their political parties. But you cannot take somebody's right to belong to a political party away from them. Yes, Sadiq belongs to the NDC, Okreku Manti belongs to the MPP. When they meet, they share ideas. When they argue on platforms about how to help push this industry forward, they all jaw and then we move forward. Okay, it doesn't mean that just because some people were defending the MPP prior to the elections and things that the MPP couldn't do for the creative arts industry, the entire creative industry did not hold the government accountable. I remember I did so many articles on the theaters, from National Theatre air conditions, and people reviewed all these stories from the creative arts bill and all that. Now, I am one person who was very critical of Okreku Manti. I even wrote articles about him when he took some people to Spain for the festival in Spain, and he decided to pick some people he believed projected their works just because we didn't attend the final event to cover the final event. So he took his people there, and we complained. But we should not also take this credit away from Okreku Manti. He was the one who championed the passage of the Creative Arts Bill.
Okay.
Okay.
So if he has anything personal with Okreku Manti, fine. But my point is that the moment you try to generalize, it becomes a problem.
Okay.
So I like the fact that he is pressing on all of us, people in the creative industry, to be pushing for what is good for us. And we've been doing that all this while. But sometimes, where I agree with him a bit is sometimes we let our political colors and affiliations cloud our sense of judgment.
Yeah.
And that is the problem.
Yeah.
But you can't do so much about it, because whether you like it or not, you will still have people belonging here or there. And that is it. That is it. So basically, let me wrap up by saying that the government has the right, the government has the responsibility to invest in the arts. If only you know that this land here, I can get oil here. You go there, you don't tell me that the people who live on that land are NDC or MPP, so I will not invest in the oil there.
Okay.
The creative industry is a multi-billion city industry.
Yeah, it is.
So if government realizes the value of the industry, it will invest in it. Whether somebody is MPP or NDC or hypocritical, it will invest in the industry.
Okay, right. Alright, let's jump on to a different conversation. The AMA is teaming up with Gasmela to do some, should I say, advocacy work, consultation,
ambassadorial work, sort of.
What are the details in that arrangement? What's going on?
So I think it's in line with the Greater Accra Regional Ministers, shall I say, project of making Accra the cleaner city, or shall I say, the city to watch out for
in Africa.
In Africa. I'm sorry. And we've seen him since his appointment do some great work. One of the things I really want to applaud him for is the sanity at the Medina atomic stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's flowing everything.
Brilliant work.
And having to partner with the AMA and Gasmela. We all know Gasmela. Gasmela was born, bred, a typical Accra boy with a following and influence. And I think using him as an ambassador to champion the cause is in this right sense. However, the only issue with artists being ambassadors is that there haven't really been a great track record, in influence, if you're being honest. We saw Sarkodie and the Jocelyn Dumas and the likes being ambassadors for Ministry of Arts and Culture and Tourism, and to be honest, we didn't see.
We don't know where that went.
You get me? And so I'm not too sure what we are doing wrong. Maybe this one might have a different approach, but I'm not too sure why we can't really see the impact of people being ambassadors to champion the cause. I don't know whether it comes back to what some judge says, hypocrisy. But for me, I think it's greed. Because when you step into the space and you are hit with some money you've not seen in your life, and you hit with all sort of favors and accolades and stuff, I think it gets into your head and you forget the main purpose for which you've been brought into the system. But I want to trust that the AMA and the Gasmela have a proper structure or a proper layout of how they want to execute this project. And then, like some judge says, we want to come back and hold them accountable, after 6 months or even a year, and say, okay, ever since you put Gasmela out as an ambassador, where are the results? And that way we can track,
but of course, Gasmela has always, one of the things that I really like about him is that he's always maintained his authentic. Ga roots.